be very brief live stream, vertical live stream. Um, I'm actually being, I'm actually rather close to being monetized. So when I do, I'm going to continue doing these live streams, but I'm not going to just do verticals anymore. When I get monetized, I'm going to do the super chats. That way people can actually contribute if they feel the urge to, which, I would appreciate it. It's not necessary because I just enjoy being able to talk with, people outside of my, you know, immediate vicinity. Like usually I only get to talk to people outside of my small circle of friends. You know, when I go for a run, I'll meet a neighbor and, say hello, exchange some pleasantries, stuff like that. But don't that often get to talk with people, which I kind of enjoy with work because one of the things of, you know, talking with strangers in call centers, whether you're managing or um, uh, actually on the phones, being one of the phone agents, is that you get to talk to a lot of different sort of folks, and it's not as horrible as people might think it is. But that is not the context of this stream. I'm just prefacing the purpose of this particular stream. I actually want to talk about Diddy. I've done so many videos about it. I've done a video with a friend, and I see some people who were defending him slowly starting to come around once they see video footage. I don't know why I took that footage. That excuse me. I don't know why I took that video footage because there's been evidence for the last like almost 30 years within his career as a music mogul, showing that this man is a horrible person. And I even see some prominent YouTubers who were defending Diddy previously now, starting to relinquish on that because it's hard to defend the indefensible. And just had to say, told you so. So yeah, this this short live stream is going to be about Diddy and anything surrounding that sort of stuff. Whether we were talking about Bad Boy, whether we're talking about why some people were defending him, particularly people who should know better, and why I didn't, because a lot of these folks who were defending him saying, "Oh, you were just looking to bring another black man down," or you know, stuff like that, and it's just crazy. There was a prominent YouTube lawyer. Again, I'm not going to say his name. You guys can guess if you want, but he was defending him now, and he has a video coming up saying that Diddy did do it. I'm like, well, no, yeah, no shit. Like, so let's just briefly talk about all the things this man has been involved with, like that's been criminal. Whether it was something he did or just something that he was not involved in necessarily, but happened because he was there. So the earliest thing I can think of was in the early '90s. He threw some sort of charity event, and some ruckus evolved, and a few people got trampled to death. This is in the early '90s. This was the first time something bad happened, right? Then the next thing in the mid '90s, there was the some sort of charity uh, celebrity basketball event. Someone got shot and killed at this celebrity basketball event. That was number two. Then there was the Tupac shooting over in the studios, which supposedly didn't involve Puffy, although Tupac did blame him in that famous Vibe magazine interview. But and later on, they were saying it was actually a well-known Brooklyn gangster named Haitian Jack, who's still around today and has not denied that he wasn't involved. But there was this that was the famous shooting and like I said, it was 1994, right, when Tupac got set up and shot right in the studios. Um, then there was later Tupac's death. I can't really say he was involved, but the trigger man who's been arrested now, um, Keefe D or whatever his name is, has claimed, whether dubiously or not, that you know Puffy had his hands in that. What's up, Colombian Jeff? And what's up, Aunt Esther? Yeah, crowds is not the best, especially in certain places. Like it's best to avoid crowds in certain areas. Appreciate the love, Jeff. So, and for you guys just jumping in, I'm talking about Diddy. This is a quick session here. Um, Not a smoke session, but just a quick live stream about this because I like seeing people change now, saying that they were wrong, that they do admit that Diddy is sketchy. And then there was all the information that came out from his former bodyguard Gene Deal, who has done like a series of interviews on the YouTube channel Art of Dialogue. If you guys want to go over and check that, then I think he's done some video interviews on DJ Vlad, but Art of Dialogue is better for obvious reasons. But for one, this stuff he Gene Dale's only doing so many interviews because he's been asked back by the guy who runs that YouTube channel, because he originally gave interviews like 3 years ago before all this stuff came out, and he was talking about all the stuff that Puffy did, and at the time people wrote him off as just a disgruntled ex-employee, but most of the stuff that he was talking about has been given credibility. So that's why he's now doing a whole bunch of stuff on Art of Dialogue, basically confirming the stuff that he said years ago. Oh yeah, we didn't even get to the club yet, Natalie. I was naming the earliest stuff that I heard of. So if you just jumped onto the chat, the first thing I remember him being involved in, like I said, was it was a charity event and some people got trampled to death. This was in the early 90s. Then the second thing was a celebrity basketball event and some teenager got shot and killed at the celebrity basketball event. Then the third thing was the Tupac shooting down in the studios, and I guess I think that was in Manhattan. I forgot the name of that famous studio. Then the fifth thing was when Tupac got killed outside of Vegas. Then there was Biggie's death in L.A. and later on the FBI confirmed that hit wasn't really for Biggie. It was actually for Puffy. Whoever shot Biggie to death wanted Puffy, but he his bodyguard at the time, Gene Dill, was smart enough to tell everyone to run the lights as soon as they heard the shooting, which probably saved his life because that's why a lot of people when Biggie got shot, they were wondering where was everyone else? Why, like, where was his boys? Where was Puffy? Where were all the They were gone as soon as they heard those shots. They flew down the street as they should have, but that shooting wasn't even meant for Biggie. We lost the best MC ever because of Puffy's bullshit because he can't get along with other people. Then let's keep going. Um, then when he when Puffy had when Puffy or Diddy, whichever you want to call him, when he did that that song with Nas, he this was like 97, 98. He allegedly beat up the preacher or whatever involved because something happened and he didn't want the guy putting out some content that made Puffy look less than saintly. So he beat up some preacher or whatever. This is around 97, 98, right? Nasruddin, yeah. He did, Gene Dale did some stuff with Vlad TV, but he also did, he's done way more content on Art of Dialogue. So you guys can check out both. The stuff on Vlad, I think, is older. The stuff on Art of Dialogue, he's done stuff from like years ago before all this stuff went down with Puffy. And then he's done some recent stuff talking about how he basically had told people all this stuff a long time ago, but they didn't believe him because they thought he was just a disgruntled employee, right? Ex-employee. So okay, so now we're up to like 97, 98, where he gets involved beating up some preacher or whatever the person is who um wasn't, or no, I don't know if it was the preacher or I think it was a producer behind the music video that Puffy and Nas did. You remember the song "You Can Hate Me Now, but you can't something something now," whatever, that song with Nas and Puffy. I think he either beat up the producer or the preacher or something because at that time he was claiming he was saved or whatever, and he didn't want that stuff out there making him look bad, so he beat someone up then let's skip to 99, which is I think what most people are familiar with, when he was dating Jennifer Lopez, and he had um uh the rapper Shine, what's his name, Jamal Barrow, who's now a senator in Belize. They were at the club, and there was a shootout. This woman got shot, and they all went to trial for it. Shine Shine was the co-defendant, and it was put all on him that he shot the woman. He ended up going to prison and getting deported back to Belize. The woman still today says that was not Shine that shot her. It was Puffy. She said she's willing to have the fragments removed out of her jaw just so they can do a ballistics matching to prove that it came from Puffy's weapon and not Shine. She, that's pretty hardcore to say that you will have someone do invasive surgery on your face just to do a ballistic matching to say this guy shot me, not this guy who got blamed for it and convicted. I don't know. And like I said, Shine got a raw deal. Um, what what else? I mean, that was probably the biggest one, like that back in '99 or whatever, right? Um, then there was his ex girlfriend, baby mother, who Kim Porter, who was a supermodel at the time, who died right before she came out with her tell-all book. I'm not saying he had anything to do with it because she had some sort of pre-existing health condition which led to her death, but it was just a pretty bad coincidence that she died right around the time that she was going to release this autobiography, right? And I remember Puffy at some time was going to release a autobiography of himself, and then something happened, and he decided never to put one out. It was right around the same time that the rapper Mace had released his autobiography. Um, and let's say all his original artists are gone. Some of them died. Some of them have went to prison. One of them had just came out of prison recently, Loon, and I think the other guy is just coming out too. The guy who started all the Harlem Shake music back then. Can't remember his name. He's just coming out of prison. I think this year. But all like Biggie's dead, Craig Mack is dead, Black Rob is dead, Faith left, 112 left, Mace left. Um, um, remember the band? He just made them look horrible on national TV. Then um there was the white uh his white female group that he had. His ex former bodyguard said that he just pretty much trashed them, and they said at one point he was gonna like get them hooked on drugs and slut them out to his friends. But anyway, let's stick to the stuff that he's actual criminal things that we actually know that is either happened around him or that he may have been involved in. So those are a lot of things. And then I guess things had kind of settled down since then, um, since the 2000s. that I can remember, other than, like I said, some of those people dying, Loon and the other guy going to prison. Even Mario Winans, I think, went to prison as well. Mario Winans, one of the Winans, part of the Winans family. You know, the Winans family were all about, the gospel, and Mario Winans was the only one, I think, out of the family that was singing secular music. He ended up going to prison at some point. So yeah, that's actually three of his artists. Then, uh, yeah, then we fast forward all the way up to like the stuff with Cassie that came out last year, and then the raid by Homeland Security. And that's why I just couldn't take it seriously. I'm gonna get back to the comments in a section, guys. But it was just crazy that during the raids, people's like, well, they don't have anything on him yet. You guys just want to see him come down. And you had one YouTube lawyer, again, I'm not gonna say his name, but it's like he's changed his mind as of his upcoming video that's being released today. It hasn't aired on YouTube. It says upcoming, so I'm guessing it's still loading. But he was trying to say that black men should support our black elite, because if not, that just shows crab in a barrel mentality, that we just want to bring each other down. I'm like, no, I'm not buying that argument. You're not going to tell me on one hand that we need to, you know, get away from the toxic black community and stop dealing with black, you know, problematic black women and all this sort of stuff. And then on the other hand, say we need to support these very characters that are making the black community toxic. Why? Just because they have millions of dollars? Toxic is toxic. It doesn't know a dollar sign. Just because Puffy has hit the $1 billion status doesn't mean that he's above reproach. So if I see someone acting like a criminal and and his behavior completely morally reprehensible, I'm not going to defend him just because he's part of the black elite. Fuck him. So that's how I see it. And let me get to some of these comments, guys. Nelly says, well, Diddy will be keeping company with R. Kelly soon. That might be more true than you know, Natalie, because the last time Homeland Security did a raid on a music mogul, guess who it was? It was R. Kelly. So Nasruddin says, now Diddy's a red flag to powerful people. Yeah, like 50 Cent keeps joking. He keeps saying you haven't heard Jay-Z say anything since this whole thing came about a month ago. he's he's like he kept making jokes that Jay-Z isn't taking Puffy's calls or whatever. I don't know. But apparently Jay-Z doesn't want any of the smoke, and wouldn't blame him. Nazarene said, remember, he's not crazy. All right, beyond legendary, you are gone. Um, Sorry for trolls like that, guys. It's you know just a part of vertical live streams. Anyway, so when people like certain hip hop podcasters, I'm not going to mention their names, or certain lawyers on YouTube discussing information and saying we need to support our black elite. Like, first of all, you're an officer of the court. As a lawyer, you're an officer of the court. Why are you telling people to back someone who's a known criminal just because of their affluence? That doesn't make sense. His argument never made sense to me, and I'm glad he's coming around from what he was originally saying a month ago, saying we need to support people like Puffy. No, the fuck we don't. No, the fuck we don't. And the and simply saying, well, they haven't charged him with anything yet, doesn't mean anything. That's because the federal investigations work differently than local investigations. Local, they'll just throw anything at the wall and hope that it sticks. That's not the way the feds do it. The feds don't just throw charges at the wall and hope one of them stick in court. They will let you hang yourself. They will let you do what you do, and they'll keep collecting evidence until they have enough to hang you by it. That's how the feds work. So yeah, he hasn't been charged with anything, but he's still part of an ongoing investigation. Dumbass songs say they don't have anything on us and shit like that. Two of his sons have been taken in the have been charged, and apparently so was Jamie Foxx. Yeah, the comedian, actor, musician Jamie Foxx. Um, then there was some white kid that apparently had a little bit of drugs on him, and then the same lawyer, I'm trying not to say his name, was saying, "Oh, that little white kid wasn't a drug mule. All he had is just a little bit of coke on him and a little bit of weed." You are a fucking lawyer. How are you downplaying someone doing something criminal like that? If a black person was doing the same thing, he would be saying serious coke or in a little bit of weed. Like that's why I don't listen. Perfectly honest, and I don't care if you want to get mad at me. That's why I don't trust a lot of black professionals. When I go to when I go to YouTube to look for legal information, I go to places like Legal Eagle, who's more his content is better, it's more professional. He gives he gives his own opinions on things, but he would not be out of pockets saying stuff like that. And he gave um a much better presentation of everything that was going on with the Diddy investigation. Like I said, to say that we should that we shouldn't take this seriously because they never charged him with anything. It's the Department of Homeland fucking Security. It's not local police. They raided three of his mansions in the most exclusive neighborhoods in the entire country, in Miami, LA, and New York. Three mansions. And law enforcement, when they do raids, they only do it once because they have an insider, so they know when to go, what to look for, and who's going to be there. So it doesn't matter if he wasn't charged with anything. Again, if they're looking to hang the guy, they're not going to charge him with anything prematurely. They want it to stick. I mean, you don't have to watch like hundreds of hours of, I don't know, police drama on TV to know that. Um, let me try to pronounce your YouTube handle correctly. Lamimis 209 says, does no one know though that all the while Diddy and Drake and Kendrick is a cover up to what NASA and Harp did May 8th through 10th, but no talk about that, just Drake and dumb rapper shit. You kind of lost me with that. Uh, the fake Aurora lights. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Total Pain DS says better lube for Justin. Oh, do you guys remember the failed Justin restaurant? Because I think Justin was his firstborn, and he had this restaurant named after his son Justin. It's called Justin's. It was supposed to be like this soul food restaurant. That shit fell through long time ago. But whatever. Does no one care about real life shit besides the crap? People different can attenuate on many different subjects other than just one. This live stream, I said, is explicitly about the Diddy thing. If that's not something you're interested in, you can just hop on to another live stream that I do that may hold more interest for you. This is what I chose to talk about. And yes, I don't. So what? So your complaint is let's not talk about Diddy, but you're talking about Kendrick Lamar and Drake like that's of any other more import. That doesn't even involve anything dealing with a criminal investigation. We're talking about Diddy because this involves an actual criminal investigation. And my point being in this live stream was I see that people who were defending him now are starting to relinquish that that support for him now that this video came out coming back reportedly from 2016 showing in the CNN footage that he was beating the shit out of Cassie as she had alleged in her lawsuit against him last year. Eh, maybe. I mean, if you're saying it's all part of like hip hop news, yes, but these are two separate things. Diddy's bisexuality once shocked the world. Did it though? He's been zesty ever since I known him. Like, like I. So if you look at my old videos, I did a whole bunch of videos about like YouTube shorts, not like long form videos, but I did a whole bunch of YouTube shorts talking about it. And one of the things I said was when he first came out, he was zesty because he came out as a background dancer for this R&B group called Fine Young Cannibals back in 1991, and the song was just yeah. I mean, you could get away with it in '91, but yeah, it was a bit sugary, to, especially the way they were dancing in spandex. These were all men. So like he was always zesty from the beginning since he came out. It was nothing about him that screamed masculinity. So no one's really surprised that he was bisexual. And there's been allegations since the '90s that he was bisexual, that he had sex with Christopher Williams, or not had sex with Christopher Williams, but allegedly had forced Christopher Williams to go down on him. From other people, they said that's not true because Christopher Williams was actually in that in that in that gangster life back then, and Puffy definitely wouldn't have forced him to do anything that he didn't want to do. But I can't say, that's all speculation. Uh, Toto says Diddy seems smacking prison booty like an athlete. No, he'll probably be getting smacked, his booty smacked like an like an athlete. I mean, let's face it. God, it if he sees time, it's gonna be serious time. Like R. Kelly, because like I said, it's gonna take Homeland Security to do it. And just like with R. Kelly, Department of Homeland Security raided R. Kelly on the suspicion of human trafficking. So it was the same thing they came after R. Kelly about, was the same reason they raided Diddy's homes. And Homeland Security has a pretty good, the feds in general, but Department of Homeland Security, they have a pretty good record of getting their man. So and CJ John says, did he or did he not? Yeah, he did. Like it. And so there's a thing in philosophy where it's called coherentism or confirmation holism. Confirmation holism is that, you know, usually the veracity of some belief or set of beliefs make another set of beliefs tethered to them more likely to be true as well. So if the things that Cassie was alleging are now shown to be true through this video, the security footage, then through that confirmation holism, that means all the other beliefs, all the other claims, in the same circle, revolving around Diddy, are probably likely to be true as well. Like, for instance, the former bodyguard Gene Dill has said that before Cassie, Puffy used to do the same things to Kim Porter. So there's nobody looking at my window. I'm 2 stories up. Looks like the Shroud of Turin, right? But that's a tree. There's no one looking out the thing. And I welcome there to be cops around here because we need more of it. First of all, I'm not bald. My hair is cut pretty short. And Robert, you're gone. I can't stand losers like you. Like trolls, they have nothing better to do than to go into a live stream. Get a life. La Mimi's 209 says, what I'm saying is I agree to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But the thing is, NASA and HARP. So with CERN, when NASA reported portals opening up and had mission, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what HARP is, and what does NASA and CERN have to do with portals. That um, you've been watching a little bit too much. Uh, what was it? Uh, Something Gate, Stonegate, not Stonegate, whatever. Stargate. You've been watching too much Stargate or something. I don't know. It just sounds weird. Like I don't. And I'm not trying to be funny. I just don't know what you're talking about. Like it sounds very. It sounds very schizophrenic. Like you're talking about rappers like Diddy and Drake, and then you're talking about NASA and CERN. Like those things are not connected, except in a person with disorganized schizophrenia head might think something like that connects, but they do not. His That again, that doesn't make sense. If someone is studying quantum mechanics, which is in the field of physics, how would you be studying to be a historical archaeologist? None of those things connect. Those That is a very disorganized way of thinking. That is sort of a schizotypical way of thinking. Well, you might want to get in a psychological evaluation because that doesn't sound like a healthy way to think. And I'm not saying like as far as like you're gonna hurt someone or hurt yourself, but I know this disorganized thought when I come across it, and that's not what you're saying isn't very coherent. Like Drake, Diddy, Kendrick, NASA, CERN, archaeology, quantum mechanics, none of those things connect. It's it's a very incoherent way of thinking. Anyway, um, all right. So apparently this stream has brought out the I don't know, the special folks. So I'm about to end this. I just wanted to talk about this while I let my food digest, and just to say that I'm glad that some of these folks in the YouTube space have come around from defending Diddy and trying to shame other black men who didn't support Diddy, because a lot of us weren't going to support degeneracy like that just because Puffy was part of the black elite. If that's part of the black elite, then I don't want any parts of supporting that. Like his behavior, all the criminal stuff he's been involved with since 1992 or whatever. Like no. Autodidact again. You have a schizotypical way of thinking. It's incoherent. What you're talking about has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. Quantum mechanics has not a motherfucking thing to do with Diddy and Drake. It's weird. And any normal behaving person at this live stream can tell you're dragging down the conversation. So I'm going to end this. I know what autodidact is, my friend. I have a background in cognitive science. That's how I know that you need help. I mean, either you're a troll or you need mental help, or both. But it's dragging down the conversation. In any case, guys, that's all I wanted to say. I'm glad to see that some people on YouTube have come around from defending this guy, and we'll see what comes of it. Like I said, in a federal investigation, they're not going to just throw charges out at people. So for all the people defending Puffy from a month or so ago, saying, "Well, he hasn't been charged with anything," that's because that's not how the feds work. Like, have guys never seen like documentaries on organized crime or anything like that? They will let you go about your your daily life doing what you do until they have enough to nail you to the wall. It's not like local law enforcement, and there's no slight to local law enforcement, but they don't have the same They don't have the same resources as the feds do. But when it gets to a federal investigation, they do have the resources, and they will let people operate as they normally do until they have enough that they can put something strong on them that's not likely to be um, that won't be likely to get rid of. So yeah, whatever you learn for free isn't working for you. You need to pay for your education. This is why people make fun of YouTube researchers. And I'm getting rid of you because you're getting on my nerves. All right, guys, I had to get rid of the guy. He's schizophrenic. He's calling himself an autodidact and thinks I don't know what it means. For those who don't know what autodidact means, it means someone who's self-taught. But in this day and age, you can't self-teach yourself things like quantum mechanics or historical archaeology. And those things were just weird compared to what we're talking about here, which is a criminal investigation of a music mogul, Diddy. Um, and it's funny, his former bodyguard, Gene Dill, had kind of joked that every time Puffy got into some legal trouble, he changed his nickname. Like it went from uh, Puffy to Puff Daddy to P Diddy to Diddy to Brother Love, then to Love. And each time there was like something going on in his life that there was like potentially life altering. But yeah, guys, that's all I want to say because these nut jobs have kind of dragged down the conversation. He and the other dude, Ricky Diggs or whatever, just weirdos. And this is why I decided not to do clinical psychology when I was in college. I really didn't want to deal with severely mentally ill people or just people who are mildly mentally ill as a as a lifestyle. That would just be too taxing. Like I have my own problems. I don't need to deal with others. And a lot of mentally ill people are just some of them are really annoying too, like this guy. So that's it. That's all I want to say. Unless someone else had some other comments to make, I appreciate folks who actually had something like intelligent to say, like Natalie and some other folks. But sorry we had to deal with a few of these retards. And I'm just gonna say it. I don't care. I'm being blunt. I don't care about chatting with a couple of retards talking about crazy shit. Like he clearly needed to put his tinfoil hat on. He and a few other guys. But all right, if no other conversation about this, yes. So we're gonna see what happens. If you guys haven't seen the footage that I was talking about yet, which I'm pretty sure everyone has, who cares about this, who cared about it anyway, is still on CNN.com, and then pretty much everyone and their uncle has probably shared it on their social media, so it'll be easy to find. What's up, Eric? I'm actually about to end the stream, buddy. I was just doing a quick live talking about how people have come around to realizing that Diddy is a criminal and that um, I hope a lot of people will be eating crow now because they were trying to shame other black men for not supporting Diddy when a lot of us who've been involved in like New York hip hop um, since we were kids or teenagers knew that the guy had issues. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the CNN video. So that he beat the crap out of that girl. And when he first met her in 2005, she was like what, 19? He's in his 30s. And I'm not gonna shame him for like an age gap relationship. I'm gonna shame him that he was treating her in such a poor way. And I'm not claiming that she's completely innocent either, because obviously she knew this guy was a certain type of way when she first got into a relationship with him. Because first of all, why are you, you know, why are you dating your artist? Like, don't date your artist. That's not good for business. But yeah, it showed how abusive he was, and it confirmed stuff that people had been saying in the past about him. Um, and like people like 50 Cent have been relentless in trolling Diddy and showing a lot of stuff that he's done behind the scenes. Um, so yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And also, I was saying, Eric, that a lot of people who had defended Puffy in the past had tried to, you know, talk ill of other black men who didn't support Diddy, saying that they were just being crabs in a barrel because they didn't support him. Since apparently, if you're black, wealthy, and famous, then you deserve support from the black community, regardless of what you do. So I think that was BS. My friend and I did a long video about that, saying why that doesn't make sense. So Eric says, yeah, that video brought credibility to a lot of people's accusations. Exactly. Cassie made everything Cassie said about him last year in that lawsuit that she then dropped the day later because he paid her off was true. Um, Kobe Curtis says Diddy is a grown man. He's going to face grown man consequences. Exactly. Also, his kids are feeling the heat. So if Diddy doesn't feel the karma, his kids will. Generational karma. Well, yeah, literally so, because two of his kids, when his mansions got raided last month, were charged with something. Um, I think one of them was charged with uh, I forgot, but both King Combs and I think Christian or Justin were charged with something, and for some reason, so was Jamie Foxx. I don't know what that involved with Jamie Foxx though. Oh no, 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 no. Was it? Yeah, was it Jamie Foxx? No, I'm sorry. It was not Jamie Foxx, guys. I'm sorry. It was the actor the actor who's been charged with assault before, the guy Show Me the Money, that actor, tag, what's his name, he was charged and involved with the investigation. So I don't know what he was doing. Travis is RIP J.A.C. Look, he's distanced himself as he should have since then. um Tag, what is that guy's name, the guy from Boys in the Hood, and um that did Show Me the Money, and Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah, he was charged along with the investigation. Cuba Gooding Jr. Yep. I don't know what he did, but he and two of Puffy's sons have been charged with something dealing with assault. I don't know about the Kevin Hart thing, traveling. I haven't heard him doing having anything involved with it. Kobe Curtis, keep the drama to the side. Same with Hunter Biden. Um, Meek Mill is he just naming he just naming right random folks. Manny L. Dude says, "Long live P Diddy," on King David. Okay. Um, Kobe Curse says, "I got you. What about Jonathan Majors from Ant Man? What about Ezra Miller?" So Ezra Miller was apparently part of all the best protected groups that he could keep from prison. If Ezra Miller was a straight black man or straight white man, um, he wouldn't have even been able to finish that movie, The Flash. Let's just be honest. Because of his ancestry and because he's protected through the Rainbow Coalition, he got through that unscathed. Jonathan Major was just an idiot. I I I I, I can't really feel sorry for him because he put himself in a position to get to but obviously, like, the situation was crazy because with his girlfriend. Like that was just a toxic relationship. Like seeing him run away from the girl and all this, it was weird. But like Cat Williams said, he said all things will be revealed in 2024, right? Like Cat might be smarter than the average bear, and we know that women choose the bear. So I'm playing, but yeah. Um, all right, Manny, you're gonna go, buddy. You're not contributing. Yeah, he for some reason, Eric, this string, I don't know if it's because of the time of day or because of the subject matter that I chose about Diddy. It's attracted a lot of weirdos. Like there was like at least three people I had to time out already. One guy was just saying a bunch of weird, incoherent stuff. I believe he was probably schizophrenic. He claims that he's never been um, diagnosed with it. I told him he needs to go get evaluated, and there was a few other nut jobs. So yeah, anyone who comes in here acting special, I'm just gonna time them out. And Kobe says they both have allegations that we brought to light later. I'm just waiting. Here's the thing, guys. The, the the drugs, promiscuity, and sort of eccentric behavior, and let's face it, criminal behavior is not new to the entertainment industry, which is why people shouldn't hold these people as as pillars of society, which is why I disagree with this black lawyer on YouTube saying that we need to support folks like Diddy because of his elite status. No, we don't. We should not put those sort of people on a platform when they're degenerates, especially when this same black YouTube lawyer decries like all the problems in the black community and talks about all the problems with black women and of you know uh black children and all this other sort of stuff, but then on the other hand is going to sit there and say we need to protect and support people like Puffy. That just doesn't make sense to me. And again, I'm not going to mention the guy's name because I know he likes to come after people if you say anything to disagree with him. But I'm just glad that as of today, he's actually putting out a video saying that Diddy is guilty. When a month ago he was saying that we need to support this guy until he's charged with something, and I was like, no, we don't, because just because he wasn't charged with anything doesn't mean he's not guilty of criminal behavior. It just means the feds are waiting to cook him. They like, the feds, they slow roast their food and let it cook. LaForge, you're back. What's up, Lucas Frog? Slim Thug. I don't remember what Slim Thug looks like, but I'm pretty sure I don't look anything like Slim Thug. Um, yeah. But I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. I didn't mean to actually keep it going this long, and like I said, I don't know if there's much new information I can add to it other than everything I talked about in my YouTube shorts for the last past month. Um, but for the folks who just came in, I'll recap what I said like 45 minutes ago about the history of problematic behaviors, either involving Puffy or surrounding Puffy at the time. I'm trying to stream every day because I'm trying to build up enough watchable hours so I can be monetized, and it's just a fun way to interact with people on YouTube. So, and by the way, if you guys are veterans, happy Armed Forces Day. Today is Armed Forces Day. I know and I promise you, I'm not sponsored by Mission Barbecue, but I would love to be. But they have some delicious food. But they were giving out free sandwiches to veterans today, and they did a whole thing all week. This was Armed Forces Week, the whole week from May 13th to yesterday. They were doing like um, free food for active duty and veterans, and today they're doing something specifically for Armed Forces Day where they were giving out like a free sandwich. But I think it ended, depending on where you live in the country, it ended around 2 p.m. I don't think Mission Barbecue is on the West Coast though. Anyway, what about you? What about you blaming Puffy? Marilyn says, "Who did you beat?" Huh? I don't get what you're saying. Blaming. We we have direct evidence. Who's blaming anything? What I was about to say is that from 45, 50 minutes ago, I had actually enumerated a bunch of situations he's been in since 1992, and I'm about to go over that for the folks who just jumped into the stream now because they weren't in the stream earlier to hear what I said. To know that he's has like a long string of problematic behavior, or that he's been involved in things for a long time, even if he didn't have anything to do with it. It was just, you know, a long history of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, I guess. But um, well, it's Mission Barbecue, Maryland. It's a restaurant. It's not a government agency. Mission Barbecue is strictly a restaurant that caters to people in the service and to law enforcement officials. So that's what they do. Like if if people are looking for housing and all that sort of stuff, then they need to reach out to the VA, the Department of VA or other folks. So anyway, what's up, Barbarian? So yeah, it's Happy Armed Forces Day, by the way. I'm talking about Diddy. So let me briefly go over all the things that he's either been involved in or has been around at the time that something happened, which happened to have him around. All right, talk to you later, Barbarian. So, like I said, back in the early 90s, there was a charity event, and a few people got trampled in the melee during this charity event. Um, and I can't remember if this was at Howard University or if the next thing I'm gonna mention was at Howard University. But yeah, in this first thing, like one or two people got trampled at this charity event, right? That he hosted. Then another thing that he had hosted was a celebrity basketball event, and a teenager got shot and killed at that celebrity basketball event. Thanks, Barbarian. And then there was 1994 was when Tupac got shot at the studio, and Tupac alleged that Puffy had something to do with it. Now, I don't really believe Biggie had something to do with it as much. Biggie even went to the man in the hospital to see him. So, and even though it hasn't been mentioned as much, he and Biggie had kind of squashed their beef before Tupac died. But he still hated Puffy. um, then there was Tupac's shooting when he died 2 years later in '96, and the trigger man Keefe D or whatever his name is last year was claiming that Puffy has something to do with you know paying those guys to do a hit. We don't know if that's true or not because Keefe D might have been just saying that to take culpability off himself, but allegedly he said Puffy was involved in them doing that. Uh, and he was Keefe D had did interviews on like DJ Vlad and stuff like that. Then in '97 was when Biggie got killed in L.A. Right, and allegedly the FBI told Puffy later on that hit was meant for him. It wasn't meant for Biggie, and that because his bodyguard team at the time told him and his team to run the lights when they heard the shooting, it probably saved his life. But that hit wasn't really meant for Biggie. It was actually meant for Puffy. Then 2 years later, there was the shooting in the club when Puffy was dating Jennifer Lopez, and they blamed it all on his former artist Shine, uh, Jamal Barrow, who's now a senator in Belize or a Congress member in Belize. And that's because he got deported back to Belize after he was arrested and stuck in prison for the shooting at the club. Although the victim still alleges that Puffy was the one who shot her and not Shine. She even said that she's willing to have the fragments removed out of her jaw so they can do a ballistic matching to his gun to show that it was Puffy who shot her and not Shine. Then maybe a year before that, because I skipped one in '98 or so, Puffy apparently beat up some producer behind this video he was doing at the time with rapper Nas on the song "You Can Hate Me Now" when they did that music video. And at that point, Puffy was claiming to be a born again Christian or whatever the fuck he was claiming, and didn't want certain stuff coming out that apparently this producer was gonna put in the video, making it look sacrilege. Oh, I remember now. So Puffy thought it would look sacrilegious showing him hanging on the cross in the music video "You Can Hate Me Now," because both he and Nas were hanging on the cross, and he thought it would be sacrilegious to show that. And apparently, he beat up the video music producer who did it because he was now a born again Christian and he didn't want to do something that looked sacrilegious. So the born again Christian beat the hell out of someone because he didn't want a sacrilegious image of him in a music video. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? Um, then again, there was all the stuff happening with all his artists. Like a bunch of his artists had died or went to prison. Loon went to prison. Mace quit. Biggie died. Craig Mack died. Black Rob died. Mario Winans went to prison, who was the youngest member of the Winans family, who are known for gospel music. He was, under Puffy. He went to prison. Um, the other guy, um, the other rapper under him, I forgot his name. He went to prison for murder. I think he's just coming out this year. Loon came out a few years ago, and Loon refuses to do music again. Mason, when he quit, he became a preacher. Um, but and Mace left. I mean, of course, Faith left. 112 left. Uh, the band or whatever they call them, they separate into individual artists. His little white female group, they were no more. There was a male white group too. They're gone. So yeah, and then we skip all the way ahead to 2023 with Cassie, and then this raid a few months ago. So there we are. A long history of just criminality and being at the wrong place at the wrong time if he didn't have anything to do with any of those events. Why are they only exposing black big names? Surely they're not the only ones doing this. Huh? I don't get you. I talk about a bunch of different folks. It's just that this particular live stream is about Diddy. Obviously, I can't talk about every single entertainer who's done something in criminal in this one stream, but I just did mention, if you didn't hear me say it several minutes ago, that the entertainment industry is rife with a bunch of people who do morally dubious and criminal things. I just said it like several minutes ago. If you missed it, maybe you weren't in the stream or you just didn't hear me saying it, but I just mentioned that. So this is not to just say Puffy is the only one. This is just the current topic du jour, right? Yeah, thanks, Barbarian. Oh yeah, like Eric, he said only black big names. Harvey Weinstein got drug out before any of these guys. Yeah, we just saw his case overturned in New York, which kind of was a blow to the Me Too movement, because the Me Too movement started on the whole Harvey Weinstein case. But he's not free though. When they overturned the case in New York about Harvey Weinstein that basically just released him to California because he still got to serve time on the stuff that happened there. But he's free of the conviction that happened in New York because that was overturned. But it was a huge blow for Me Too because Me Too kind of that was their the foundational case for them, which Me Too has always been dubious anyway. You should never believe a whole group of people just by virtue of their gender, and conversely, you shouldn't disbelieve an entire group of people just by virtue of their gender. That Me Too was always a dubious like a dubious social political movement. But yeah, Weinstein isn't free. He got his court case overturned in New York, so now he's going to serve time for the other conviction in California. That's what I'm saying. He didn't get out of jail. The course his case in New York was overturned, but now he has to serve time on the other case in California. So he's not free. Barbarian says, I'm not sure how the machine works, but it has a function for sure. Maybe it'll all be white next year. I, I think, the people are looking at it through race colored glasses, Barbarian, but I think every like Cat Williams said in that Club Shay Shay video several months ago, he was saying everyone's going to be exposed in 2024. It's not just not just going to be black entertainers, it's not just going to be white entertainers. It's going to be anyone because of the changing tide in in current events right now. Like we already seeing stuff happen with the guy who ran Nickelodeon. That's another guy. I'm probably going to do a video on him one day, but I just haven't gotten enough information about it to really speak about it yet. Because I'm not going to watch that long documentary. Not a lot of those documentaries put out as much misinformation as they do accurate information. So I'm once I probably know more, I'm probably going to do a video about him too. But trust me, I'm not I'm not just going to go after just one particular group of people. What I didn't know was that guy who did the whole Nickelodeon thing, that he started off as an actor on this TV show I used to watch as a kid in the 80s called Head of the Class. That's where I first remembered him from. I had no idea that he was the big producer behind all these Nickelodeon children's shows. What's his name? Rob Schneider or whatever. Can't remember his name. How many people get out of jail? Not a lot. Not a lot. And plus, and then another thing we gotta remember: these people aren't the average folks. You know what I mean, Eric? Like this isn't the average person. The average person is not going to get a court case overturned on a legal technicality because they don't have $1 million lawyers that can look through their cases and find those small errors that can overturn an entire case. We're talking about multi-million-dollar producers, entertainers, stuff like that. Like Puffy is a billionaire, Harvey Weinstein's a billionaire. The average person getting locked up is not a billionaire. So they're in a completely different stratus, like social class than the average person who gets locked up. The average person gets locked up, most of them don't even have a high school diploma, much less to be at a 7 figure or 8 figure status. Puff is gonna be peeping in your window tonight. All right, let's chill. Eric, what, didn't Cosby get released too? He did. Now his situation, I completely agree with because for several reasons. For one, people try to say that Cosby got let out on a legal technicality. No, he got let out because they violated his due process, and I've made a video on that too. Like convicting someone by violating their due process is unconstitutional. We literally have a like the due process clause is literally built into the U.S. Constitution, and it's it's one of the pillars of the legal justice system. Like you can't call a system a system of law a justice system without due process, and his due process was violated in order to convict him. So People might think, well, that's fucked up, but I don't. If you violate someone's due process, then yes, that case deserves to be overturned. On top of that, one of the first people to claim they was a victim of him, this white supermodel, she's actually the original like supermodel because it's so fucking long ago. She she admitted that she lied in her memoir. And when people questioned her, they was like, "Well, why did they was like, well, why didn't you say that on the stand?" And he was like, "Well," and she said, "Well, because in my autobiography, I can't be charged with perjury." So she's so she's admitting that she lied about the man, and so we don't know how many of those other ladies have also lied. Because from the way I look at it, if one person has lied, that calls into question all those so-called testimonies. But the first person that came out against them clearly lied, and she even said so in her book, and said that when she was when she when people confronted her about the fact that she admitted that she lied about it, in court, she said, well, she couldn't say that she couldn't, go, go back to court and claim that she lied because she would face perjury charges. So I hope that I didn't see your questions, Marilyn, but I hope that answers your questions. Basically, they violated his due process. They are after Will Smith, Drake. No, 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 they're not. What are you talking about? Will Smith's issues are not criminal, and he's lucky because Chris Rock refused to press charges on him when he smacked him at the awards 2 years ago. Because the when law enforcement came, they actually asked Chris Rock did he want to press charges. He refused. That's the sort of stand-up guy he is. He was openly assaulted for the whole world to see. And if he wanted to press charges, he could have. He did. He refused to press charges on that man who used to be a friend of his. But he then clowned the shit out of him on his stand-up, which he had every right to do. So Will Smith is not facing any criminal charges. His issues are all dealing with being in a toxic relationship with a narcissistic woman. Drake, again, I don't know if any criminal charges are coming out of the allegations coming from Kendrick. Meek Mills, he's already been in the legal system. He kept violating probation all over again, and you have everyone saying free Meek. No, how about you like not violate probation? Like if you weren't a millionaire rapper, you think they would have gave a shit? Like they would have threw his dusty ass in jail like everyone else when they violated probation. Usher, again, not aware of any criminal stuff. R. Kelly, he's serving his time. Diddy, like I said, he's under investigation currently. Oprah, I don't know if anything. Yeah, I think you're just naming famous black celebrities. I'm not aware of anything dealing with Oprah. Yeah, Mace. Yeah, yeah, Mace quit the business. So this is how dirty Diddy did Mace, right? So when Biggie died, Mace served as a ghostwriter for a lot of the music that came out in the 90s after Biggie's death in 97, like from like 98 to like, so I say from 97 to 99, like Mace was, his pen had did a lot of the work to save Bad Boy at the time. And well, he said that he wasn't really getting paid for all of that. Like Puffy wasn't really paying him for all the writing he was doing, all the songwriting he was doing at the time. On top of that, he wanted to he wanted to buy his publishing from Puffy, who refused. And I think all of those were the reasons why he initially left Puffy and became a minister in Georgia. He actually came, so and the funny thing is, the group he was working with at the time, he had a group called Harlem World, which was with his twin sister Stace and his friends at the time, and Loon. Loon started out in that group Harlem World with Mace. Um, like he quit the business while they were currently touring. They didn't even know till they heard about it on the news too. So obviously he was facing some spiritual or psychological issues that he didn't want to be involved in the music business anymore, particularly not with Puffy. He only came back to do a third album with Puffy because he wanted to use that music to build his church in Georgia. But later on, he tried to get out of the deal with Puffy and signed to G Unit with under 50 Cent. This is when 50 and Puffy really started beefing back in like 2005 ish. Puffy refused to let Mace out of his Bad Boy contract so that he could sign with G Unit. And I remember that because of that, um, Mace released a mixtape under G Unit with um, with 50. And 50 was talking shit in one of the songs about what had went down, because 50 is pretty blunt about stuff that happens in the background that most artists don't talk about. And he talked about the falling out between him and Puffy because he wouldn't let Mace sign to G Unit. And he also was saying that Mace, he said, you lucky that Mace ain't gonna talk about everything you've been doing. So we've known a long time ago that man was into some crazy stuff. But yeah, Mace, you know, later Mace has talked about it. Like, he has a podcast currently with Cameron. He and Cameron have gotten back together as friends, and they have a sports podcast on YouTube now. I forgot the name of it, but he was talking about everything that was going on a month ago too. So yeah. Marilyn says strange fruit hung on trees. It's bad. It's racial. Normal white guy says you're a bass player. No. She said destruction surrounds that man. He puts it on himself. Like, he has Puffy's a problematic dude. Like, and I don't feel bad for entertainers. And people will say, "Oh, you just looking to see another black man come down." No, I'm saying if you have such resources, then you have the resources to seek professional help. And I don't think just reaching out to your minister is enough. Obviously, that doesn't work if you're reaching out to a minister and become a born again Christian and you're beating up producers because they put out an image of you in a video that looks sacrilegious. Obviously, being born again isn't good enough. You need more help than that. You need professional psychological help. And like, I can't armchair diagnose the guy, but obviously he has a tad bit of narcissism amongst other things, and he's definitely a violent person. The way he kicked that girl like she was a soccer ball, man. All right, normal white guy, you were gone. Um, Marilyn says, yeah, but why only black artists? We're not. They aren't only black artists. It's just I'm just talking about Diddy in this stream. Sorry, we're responding to the wifey here, Mrs. Contrarian. She's not moderating right now, but media. It's not media. It's whoever's grabbing the most attention at the time. Like, it's not just black artists. It's whoever can whoever can grab the most headlines is the person that's going to garner the most attention in the media. And and being a grabbing media attention has no color bias. Trust me. Like, like I said, we seen a recent documentary with the guy from Nickelodeon, right? Um, and a lot of the stuff is a distraction from the stuff that's really going on in the world. But Puffy's someone who's just really famous, so of course it's going to garner attention when CNN releases the exclusive footage. Trust me, if there's a white entertainer you know who has similar fame, that they release some video footage of him doing something very problematic, it's going to garner just as much as attention. We've seen that in the past, matter of fact. It's just that Diddy's time down in the spotlight. But yeah, we've seen white artists getting grabbing a lot of attention in the news in the past, and we'll see them in the future as well, right? And like Eric said, yeah, a lot of the entertainment industry is getting exposed right now. All that stuff with Nickelodeon about sexualizing children is coming out. Yep. Um, Marilyn says, since you're military, do you have any injuries, PTSD, etc.? Is that real? No, I don't have any injuries, and is PTSD real? Yes. It doesn't just happen to people in the military, but PTSD was first diagnosed in folks in the military. It used to be called, I think, it was originally called shell shock syndrome. But PTSD can happen to people who aren't in the military. It can happen to young children living in a violent in a violent community. It happens to refugees escaping from a war torn eras. It's happening currently right now with people in war torn regions of the world. So PTSD is not just something that affects the military. It's actually, you have to have a, like most mental health disorders, you have to have um, a genetic predisposition to the disease, because obviously everyone who faces combat doesn't come back with PTSD. It has to be a trigger for something that someone already was genetically predisposed to to elicit the illness, right? So, um, but yeah, PTSD is definitely real. You also have a another form of acute um, acute trauma, which is something that can it happen to someone when something, when like something very traumatic happens to someone in the short term, whereas PTSD is something that is like a long term illness. But there's an acute trauma version of it as well. So they're both very real. Eric Guapo says, yeah, it's a huge mess up. I think that there should be a statute of limitations on accusations like that. 30 years is too back for my opinion. Yeah, so like the thing with Cassie, the reason why she came out with the lawsuit last year was because the New York State had recently extended the statute of limitations in which to for victims to come forward with those sorts of crimes like sexual assault and stuff like that. Um, that ended ended this year, but it was like a year. I think it was back in 2023 or 2022 when New York had extended the statute of limitations on those sorts of crimes, so that victims can come forward and be able to have their day in court with the alleged victimizers. That's when she released that lawsuit, because obviously it would have been too far in the past for her to have come out talking about her time with Puffy back in like 2016 or whatever, which I think is when they finally broke up. Oh, and that's another thing surrounding Cassie. I completely forgot the fact that he allegedly put a blew up a rapper's car who wanted to date Cassie. I forgot if you guys can remember. Well, hold on, I'll look it up. What rapper wanted to date Cassie? He allegedly did a car bomb on him, and the rapper even confirmed. He said, "Yeah," he said, "Puffy blew up my car because I wanted to date Cassie." I can't. Is it? It's, the name is right on the tip of my tongue. No Diddy, but um, dang, who was something the what's his name? Dang, I can't remember. But there was a rapper who wanted to date Cassie like 8 years ago, and that's when she was trying to leave Puffy, and Puffy allegedly blew up his car, blew up the man's car. And like I said, all this stuff is not surprising when you hear some of the stuff he says in his songs. Like he had a whole song he did with Keisha Cole, and at the end of the song, he's like pretending like he's talking to her on her voicemail, saying that if you didn't that he was mad that she didn't answer the phone, and if she didn't answer the phone, he was gonna come by her house and shoot the whole place up. And then he started laughing, and I'm like, that's weird. But but then if but of what we know about him, that's something that he would be privy to actually doing. Especially when we find out that he allegedly blew up this rapper's car. Um, what's the guy name? I cannot remember. Chance, was it Chance the Rapper? It might. I can't remember if it was Chance the Rapper or someone else, but like I said, it was alleged that Puffy blew up that man's car, and he he confirmed that that Puffy did, but he never faced any charge on it. And I can't remember if it was Chance the Rapper or someone else, but one of those guys. What else does it really feel for Will Smith? His marriage really reminds me of my ex. Ooh, if your ex is anything like Jada Pinkett, man, you need a passport. You need a passport. Come join the passport bro group. Come with us. You know what I'm saying? Come get away from that as far as possible. Shoot. Um, First of all, like I said, I felt bad for Will Smith, and I still sort of do. What made me lose sympathy for him is that he decided to put his hands on a smaller man to vent his frustrations. Because, like I said, the joke that Chris Rock did was so benign compared to the stuff he could have said. And in his latest stand up, he even said, "Man, of all," he said, "I could have made so many jokes about the woman." He said, "The joke I made was a benign joke, comparing her to G.I. Jane. And if anyone has even seen the movie G.I. Jane, that wasn't exactly an insult." But he was talking about her hair, and plus he didn't know the bitch had alopecia, nor should he had to know that, right? That's crazy. Or but there's no way I'm a multi-million-dollar rapper, an actor, and producer, and I'm gonna date someone from Baltimore. She's from my she's from the original part of Baltimore that I'm originally from, Park Heights, Baltimore. In Park Heights, Baltimore, there's a Jamaican community, and that's Jada Pinkett has West Indian roots, which is normal for those people that come from that part of Park Heights, Baltimore. It's on the west side of the city, and there's no way I'd have became a wealthy and famous person and dated someone from that part of just someone from the hood. Like, I don't care if she became an actress or whatever. There's no way I'm dating some chick from Park Heights, Baltimore. I was like, my wealth has garnered me too much access to women all over the world to be with to be with Jada Pinkett. On top of that, it's quite likely that Will Smith is in the closet as his former friend and producer or whatever has alleged last year on the Tasha K interviews, and he has a book coming out about it. He said that Will Smith and Dwayne Martin allegedly had a long-lasting homosexual relationship, um, and he was saying that the reason that he sticks with Jada is because she keeps his secrets, and apparently that's one of them is that he's bisexual. I don't know if it's true or not, but again, I don't care about his sexuality or whatever. But the fact that his wife is just a narcissist that makes him look bad and doesn't care that are his his children are blacklisted in Hollywood because they are so unliked. Both his daughter and his son. His oldest son, I don't think, is in the entertainment industry. the kid he had by his first wife. But his but Jaden and the little weird the his daughter, the little weird bitch, they're both like like they are blacklisted in Hollywood. Like that's why you haven't seen his daughter coming out with any records anytime soon. You haven't heard Jaden in any movies because they're not wanted in Hollywood anymore. They've been blacklisted. They're weird. Like most nepo babies usually can get some sort of work, but the reason you haven't seen them get any work is because apparently they're blacklisted. People don't want to deal with them regardless of their family's last name. And mind you, Will Smith has his own film production over 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 something films Overbrook, because Overbrook is a part of Philly. Because my when I used to live in Philly, my girlfriend lived right there where Overbrook was. She was like, yeah, this is the area where Will Smith used to live at when he was a kid. I'm like, oh, okay. So he named his film studio after the part of Philly where he grew up, Overbrook or whatever it's called. um, keep getting that R.I.P. King Von. Johnny Depp must marry me. I'm a safe woman. I don't think he wants to get married anymore. I wouldn't. He's in his 50s. I think I think he's had children by now, and I'm not sure, but if I were him, I would just I would not marry again. But good luck. Eric Guap says I worked in EMS for 13 years, and some of my colleagues suffer from PTSD from some of the stuff they were exposed to. Exactly. Like that's what I was telling her. It's not just being in combat that can cause PTSD. It can be other sorts of stressors that can cause PTSD. And yeah, like I said, it's a very real phenomenon. Sometimes at our station, some of the guys had night terrors and was screaming in their sleep. Ugh. Yeah. Man, said I watched a movie where a veteran came back and would strangle his wife thinking he was still in Iraq and scream, etc. They said it was PTSD. Yeah. In the movie, the wife started cheating on her husband's younger brother because he had PTSD. Should you divorce your husband if he has PTSD? I, I can't say it. I mean, it depends on the severity. It depends on whether the husband is a danger to the wife, whether he's willing to seek treatment. Those are all different variables that need to be considered. I'm not going to say people should just get divorced. People in America get divorced too easily without trying to work things out. If things can be worked out, that is. Obviously, if he's putting his hands on her, she should leave. Kid Cudi, yep, that's who it was, Devon. Thank you. Yep, it was Kid Cudi that allegedly Puffy blew up the man's car because Kid Cudi wanted to date Cassie. Yeah, I talked about this in another video I did with a friend, but I couldn't remember the name. But yeah, it was Kid Cudi. So the guy acts like a criminal, and he has his goons. Like even like it's known in the industry. Like even though he's zesty, that you don't. Even though Puffy's known for being zesty, people know that you can't put hands on him because he has goons. So he wants to act like a gangster, but then he wants to come off like he's this nice guy calling himself Brother Love. Like anyone who has to call themselves Brother Love or Love probably is the farthest thing removed. So you said, why you call black women bitches and you don't call the black men bad words? I call everybody bad words. You just haven't been in a lot of my videos. You didn't just hear me calling those people early in my stream a bunch of retards for the way they were acting, right? You didn't hear how I just was making fun of Puffy before, right? If you've seen enough of my videos, I insult everyone. My insults are rated E for everyone. So yeah, and I definitely called Diddy a bad word. Like I said, watch my YouTube shorts or watch my video with my friend when we're in the car discussing it. I have definitely called Puffy bad words. I've definitely called a bunch of people bad words. My insults are for everybody. He does this sometimes when he's a little slap Sean Carter. You know what made it so funny is the Scottish accent. Like I think he was I don't know if he was on 2020, but he was talking to Barbara Walters, who I think Barbara Walters passed away. And Barbara Walters asked him, she's like, he said, "So you believe in that?" He said, "Yes, sometimes I can't use the Sean Connery Scotch accent, but sometimes a woman needs a little slap." I'm sorry, that shit was hilarious. I don't agree with it, but it was funny. A little slap. It's just the way he said it. Sean Connery, by the way, he was the first American action hero. So sometimes they need a little slap. So yeah, so anyway, yeah, I insult everyone if I think it's a shortcut to describing their behavior. But you know, in a live stream I can be a little bit more rough hewn than I usually am. In my videos I try to not be as brutish. But yeah, this is just me talking to you guys. um, I'm about to go, which I don't mind talking this long because let me digest my food before I go run. Uh, since I'm not going to the gym today. But yeah, that's all I had to say. Unless someone wants to bring up another artist who's currently in the news, but like Cat Williams said, a lot of stuff's gonna be revealed this year. We're only in May, so we're only 5 months in. I think other stuff is gonna go down. I think the guy behind Nickelodeon Kids, he's about to go through it. Puffy's not done yet because they haven't actually convicted him yet. You know, like I said, his two dumbass kids, King Combs and Christian Combs, were convicted. I mean, not convicted. They were charged along with Cuba Gooding Jr. in this investigation. And the nerve of his son King Combs to come after 50 in a diss record. I'm like, does he not know who 50 is? Has he not heard all the beasts that he's been in? There have been rappers much better than King Combs that have came at 50 and have had their careers in. And you know, whenever 50 rides, Eminem will ride with him. So I don't know if King wants that smoke. Apparently he does. Then he also said in some interview that he'll slap anyone who he hears saying no Diddy. So King Combs no Diddy. I wish I wish he or any of his folks would try to slap me. I got these Muay Thai knees for days. Comedy fan, yeah. Yeah, it depends on what comedian. I just saw the new Cat Williams stand up. It wasn't that good. People were saying it wasn't that great, but it was okay. Not every Netflix stand up is going to be like a a really good one, like you know the Dave Chappelle ones, but it was okay. Or unless you were talking to Marilyn, I'm sorry. I don't know if you were referring talking to me or to Marilyn. She says comedy, not romantic movies. Yes, because they comfort me. Hmm. I've watched a few rom coms back in the day that I like. I'm not gonna even hold you. There's a few rom coms that I've liked. My wife was surprised. She's like, "You watch movies like this?" I'm like, yeah. Kill Tony. I haven't heard of that one. It's mostly amateur comedy, but it's funny. Something I watch often on YouTube is what's it called? Chocolate Comedy Sundays or something like that. I watch those. Those are pretty funny. There was they have like some of the like funniest comedians on there. It's a YouTube channel, Kill Tony. I haven't heard of that one. Travis Beast Mode Hogan says on King David. It's 2 a.m. in South Africa. Gotta go, right? Oh, you're in South Africa? Okay, yeah. Go to bed, Maryland. Nice to have you contribute to the chat. Again, I'm not just all about black people. I talk about everybody. Trust me. If you run through some of my old videos, you'll see that I've talked about a lot of people, especially politicians. But talk to you later. She was cool. I thought she was American this whole time. What was I just about to look up? I forgot. Oh yeah, Chocolate Comedy Sundays. I watch that on YouTube a lot. That's pretty funny. And even though it's called Chocolate Comedy Sundays, it's not just black comedians. Like they have comedians from everywhere on there. If anything, it's funny when you have non-black comedians come onto black comedy stand-ups because like when they're funny, like they set it off more than the black comedians. Like there was a Korean guy who came on there. He was funny as hell. Like I did not expect the stuff that he was saying to come out the guy's mouth because it was just funny. I can't remember the name of this Korean comedian's name, but he was hilarious. Let me get the name for you correct. Hold up. Let me look that up right now. Um, chocolate. Oh, I'm sorry. So it's called Chocolate Sundays Comedy. Chocolate Sundays Comedy. And it's like I said, there's a lot of good, like up and coming comedians on there. Thought on the That's so random. Thought on Avengers: Age of Ultron. I like it. When it first came out, a lot of people didn't like it because it looked like too much of the movie was just used to set up the next stage of movies for the next phase of Marvel movies. Like all of it was like all the phase three movies. But in hindsight, once you've seen those phase three movies and you go back to looking at Age of Ultron, it stands up pretty well. Now, I mean, there's a lot of things you could critique about it that, for one, in the movies, um, the Ultron War actually came after the Infinity War, like the war with Ultron. Then also, it wasn't Tony Stark that created Ultron; it was Hank Pym that created Ultron, and that he had pretty much devastated the entire world. Like they actually had to go back into the past to fix to stop him, and it was Wolverine that did it. Wolverine and I forgot who else. They actually had to go back into the past to stop Ultron because he had pretty much obliterated the entire world. Ultron was like Marvel's version of Brainiac from DC Comics. But another reason people didn't like him was they had changed his personality from the comic books as well. Again, I wasn't a huge Marvel Avengers reader, so it didn't matter to me that they altered his personality and the fact that he was created by Tony instead of by Hank Pym and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, they did do a little bit too much in trying to use the movie to platform stuff for the Phase Three era of the MCU. But when you look back at it now, it's I think it still holds up. Yeah, Quicksilver died pretty quickly, but like I said, the reason he died was because in the original comic book, a bunch of heroes died. It wasn't just Quicksilver; it was a bunch of people who died in the Age of Ultron miniseries. But that was pretty mild just to have Quicksilver died. The thing I didn't like about Quicksilver that he was so slow. Like he's not as fast as the Flash, but he was definitely much faster than the way they portrayed him in that movie. But by that time, Age of Ultron, they were still trying to kind of keep the power levels kind of um low. Like they didn't want to show the how powerful they are in the comic books because it would just be hard to translate onto the big screen. But he should have been way faster than the way they portrayed him in the movie. That's what I didn't like. I didn't care that he died, but it's just that they should have shown how powerful he is, how fast he is. Mostly DC and Image. Okay. Most of the Image comic book creators were guys who worked on DC and Marvel back in the '90s. People like Todd McFarlane and all those folks. Uh, Jeff, was it Jeff Lee? That now is like the head publisher over at DC Comics now. But yeah, all the guys who came to form Image were like people disgruntled with how Marvel was treating their artists and writers at the time. Yeah, Jim Lee. Well, I say Jeff Lee. Yeah, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, Todd McFarlane, all those guys. Then Todd McFarlane even created his own toy line because people wouldn't he couldn't originally get anyone to buy into his Spawn character to make it a action figure. They didn't think it would be suitable for kids, so he just said fuck it and made his own toys. It was originally called Todd Toys, then he renamed it, so it's McFarlane Toys, and the he actually started the toys for adult collectors when he started the Spawn action figure back in '97. That was the first adult like toy for toy collectors. Now that's a huge industry. Like whenever I go to the comic books or I go to the conventions, there's just a bunch of people my age and that who were kids in the '80s buying up collectibles, either vintage toys from the '80s or the collectibles now based on those franchises from the '80s. Spawn and Superman, my guilty pleasure. All right, well, I'm about to end this, guys. Is I don't think there's any more to say about Diddy. Like, we'll be seeing more about what happens with him in the future. But Eric is always great to talk with you. Scum says it's Gus Fring. I don't know what you're talking about when you say it's Gus Fring. But anyway, we could talk about comic books and stuff for days. That will have to be a whole different live stream. You know what I'm saying? And I have done one on like comic books and stuff, but we can do another one in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to touch base with everyone to say that I'm glad to see that some of these people who I disagreed with in the YouTube space who wanted to defend Puffy are now have now come around to saying, yeah, he is guilty. Gus Fring is a character. Oh, okay. So I never got into Breaking Bad. Like I had a few friends try to get me into watching it. It wasn't really my thing. Jose, I'm sorry. I'm actually about to end the stream, buddy. But the stream was about Puffy, Diddy, that is, the investigation with him, and I was basically telling folks that I'm glad to see that there were people who were defending him a month ago have now changed their mind because it was a lot of people who had defended Puffy last month in the last 2 months that were trying to shame other black men for not supporting Puffy, and now that video footage that came out 2 days ago has changed people's mind where they're not defending him anymore, including a particular YouTube lawyer that I like, but I completely disagreed with his take on the Puffy situation. So that's it. Any other questions? I'll take one other random question. It doesn't have to have anything to do with Diddy. One guy just asked me about Avengers. So I'll take one last question. I don't care what it is, as long as it's not something impertinent. But I'll take one last question before we go. Puff, you don't know who Puffy is? So Diddy, P Diddy, Love, Brother Love, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, Sean John, that guy. Jake Paul versus Tyson. What you think? Okay, so I've actually talked about this one before, but like I said, I'll take any question. So I think the fight is not gonna be a. I don't think it's gonna be an exciting fight. I know everyone is hoping it is, but I think it's gonna be just like the Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather fight. I think it's just gonna be an exhibition fight. Like the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson have said that they are actually putting belt like this is actually going on their professional record here, and that knockouts will be allowed and all this sort of stuff. But I just don't buy into the hype because Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather said the same thing 2 years ago in their fight, and that was like a tickle fight. And then the very next day, Floyd Mayweather went on Instagram saying this is the easiest millions I ever made. As we know that he's all about money. He doesn't care about his boxing integrity because he had already professionally ended his career after I think with after the fight with Pacquiao. I think that was like his last professional fight. No. I'm sorry. I think Conor McGregor was sort of like a professional fight, but really his real fight was really Manny Pacquiao. But I don't think Tyson versus Jake Paul fight is going to be serious. I mean, it will be a legit fight. I just don't think it's going to be a drag out fight. And I think that both Logan Paul and Jake Paul are notorious for having non disclosure agreements with the people they fight with. Usually there has been fighters that they give a huge payoff to, and in exchange for that, it's a tickle fight. That's what I think. I could be proved wrong in July or August, whenever it is. I can't remember if it's August or July, but I'll be watching it since it's going to be on Netflix. But I don't. Everyone getting hyped up about the fight. I think they're getting their hopes set on unrealistically. I don't think no one's getting knocked out. I think it's going to end in a draw. And people thinking Tyson's going to be this ferocious guy. They're thinking about the Tyson from 30 years ago, not the guy who's now in his 60s that smokes weed every day and does shrooms. So I don't being seeing it being a big fight. Well, if he's fine as boring, then peace out. I'm about to end the conversation anyway, buddy. I don't think Tyson's going to get hurt though. I don't see Jake Paul hurting him. His peekaboo style can answer Jake. Jake Paul is a Jake Paul is a now what people do get wrong. People say Jake Paul isn't a real boxer. He's a real boxer. He's just a mediocre boxer. Like outside of his size, his talent, it's mediocre. So I don't. I think if Tyson is taking the fight seriously, he's not going to get hurt. I don't think. I'm just saying I don't think either one of them are going to significantly hurt each other. And if I'm right about the non-disclosures that the polls like to do with the people they make these fights with, I don't think in the non-disclosures they even allow for knockouts anyway. So, but yeah, that's I guess I'll end it there. But yeah, I'm gonna be watching it on Netflix in the summer, but I'm not expecting anyone to get knocked out. Like I said, unless Mike has a has a has some has a flashback moment where he starts thinking about Robin Givens. I'm joking, but yeah, outside of that, I don't think it's gonna be like that. I'm gonna watch it, and I guess Logan Paul, his brother now does wrestling, so I, that's why I don't take either one of them seriously. What I will give credit to Jake Paul for though is he looks out for these fighters. Like he takes these old MMA fighters, people, like I think he was the one who fought Anderson Silva several years ago, and some of these other folks. A lot of these MMA fighters he's fought. This is some of the biggest fight purses they've ever had, and Jake has even went on the record saying that he think Dana Bash or Dana White, I forget his name, doesn't treat his UFC fight as well. So I think he does like I think he markets the stuff well, but it's just weird that people take those fights too seriously. Anderson and Woodley, right? And didn't he want to fight at one time? Didn't he want Chuck Liddell, or someone else like that? I don't remember, but I don't have any problem with it. Like I said, Tyson himself has said years ago before he even fought Jake Paul that he thought that the man was single-handedly keeping professional boxing alive, because a lot of people don't tune into professional boxing as much anymore now that most people can watch UFC. I watch the one championship more than UFC, and then you have all the other ones out there too. So if he's keeping professional boxing on people's minds, then I guess that is a good thing. But at the same hand, he's making it look bad because it looks just like it's just like exhibition fights. But that's it, guys. I'm gonna end it there. Yep, one championship is the best MMA as far as I'm concerned, because a lot of those people actually come from striking backgrounds, like particularly Muay Thai and kickboxing. So they're not just wrestlers. They're gonna actually mix it up and fight. But yeah. All right. Well, that's it, guys. If there's any other comments, people can leave it once I post this video. And I do check comments even after the video is posted to see if there's any replies. But that's it, guys. Again, no Diddy.